thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it, especially on short notice, but we've got some developments in a case that we wanted to share, and we appreciate you being here to put it out. I am Howie Thompson. I'm the Chief of Police here at the Greenville Police Department. We are pleased to be able to give closure to a mother, a family, and a community by announcing arrests made in a cold case. 6 years ago, on January 25th, 2015, witnesses heard someone call out to Cobey Smith. Cobey, who at that time was 16, walked towards the voices behind 200 Clark Street. Multiple gunshots were heard, and Cobey was found deceased. The Greenville Police Department has signed warrants on 3 suspects in this case: Javion Deontay Sanders, Christopher Lewis Dendy Jr., and Tyleek Raekwon Johnson. Each have been charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. All 3 have been arraigned and have been placed in detention on no bond. I want to commend the detectives that have worked this case, including Detective Collis Flavel, Detective Brad Lusk, and our cold case detectives under the leadership of Captain Greg Smith, Lieutenant Tim Conroy, Sergeant Russ Irvin, retired Detective Rick Woodall, retired Captain Terry Christie, and retired FBI Special Agent Steve Romano. I would also, again, like to offer our condolences to Cobey's mother, Betty Smith. We know this has been especially hard on you. But know that this team never gives up on seeking justice for our victims and their families. The Greenville Police Department has 16 cold cases that we are currently looking into. We ask for the public's help for any information they can offer to help solve these crimes. If you know something, say something. Please contact us at the Greenville Police Department Investigation Division at 467-5342, or if you wish to remain anonymous, contact us through Crime Stoppers at 23 Crime 232-7463. I'm now going to turn it over to our investigations captain, Greg Smith.
Good afternoon. My name is Gregory Smith, Captain, Criminal Investigations Division. A little more than a year ago, Chief Thompson assigned me to the Criminal Investigations Division. A few months after that, I was followed by Lieutenant Tim Conroy. His first week with me in that division, he came in my office and asked me if I read Cobey Smith's case. He said that he had looked it over with a fine-tooth comb, read it, and he believed it to be solvable. He said that his family needed closure and the community needed closure. He then assembled his team who was standing behind me. They went to work, and the information that we're sharing here today are the fruits of their labor. So I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Conroy, Sergeant Irvin, and the rest of the cold case unit. All of them worked professionally and diligently to solve this case. It's excellent work, and I appreciate your hard work. I would also like to thank Ms. Smith, Cobey's mother, and Jack Logan, the director of Put Down the Guns Now Young People organization. They worked tirelessly to make sure that awareness of Cobey's case stayed on our minds and stayed in the minds of the community. We appreciate your work. I assure you that because of the work that both of you did, it assisted us in solving this case. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Conroy, and then once he's given his words, he'll answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
I would like just to echo what the chief and captain stated earlier. The one thing that solved this case is persistence. It shouldn't go unnoticed that the officers, many officers standing behind you, were the ones that responded that night. They were actually in the area and heard the shots go off. Their dedication and quick thinking were able to round up numerous witnesses, preserve the evidence, and gave us the ability to build on that case. Forensics Division did an excellent job collecting, preserving the evidence, and actually analyzing the evidence, which gave us more leads. And again, this case was, the case file is enormous. Detective Collis Flavel and Brad Smith did an excellent job documenting everything they did, and which gave us the ability to go re-interview those individuals and gave small pieces of evidence. And we built on those evidence, that evidence, and were able to come up with the conclusion of arresting 3 individuals. I'd also like to say the persistence of Mrs. Smith. I know when we looked over this case a year ago, and I asked the cold case investigators, Christie and Woodall, to look over it, and we reached out to Mrs. Smith. Her persistence, I could always count on a phone call, a message on my voicemail from her asking where the case was. So last week, it was earlier this week, excuse me, it was with great honor to go give her the closure that she needed. And I just want to let everyone know that that is the biggest honor any investigator could have, is giving closure to a victim's loved ones. So at this time, we will answer any questions that you may have.
Sir, you mentioned, and others did as well, that many of the gentlemen behind you were there at the scene as well as behind us. What took so long in this particular case? Were there any hang-ups? Why was this a cold case and not just a case that took several weeks or several months?
Right. So one thing that took, every case is unique. People change their minds, new developments come, people's relationships change, people get consciences and decide to talk and give a little information that they didn't think was important earlier. So it was just the persistence of the cold case investigators talking with more people and getting out there and finally getting a break, and a bit of luck that was needed to solve it.
Relation between the 3 faces we see on this screen, did
There
they
is-
know each other? Were they related?
They were just all acquaintances.
Drugs or alcohol involved in this case, sir?
Not that we know at this point. We don't have a motive at this point.
Are you still searching for a motive, sir?
It would be nice to have a motive. Sometimes you're not able to come up with a motive, though. So we're asking anybody, now that these 3 individuals are incarcerated, if you know something, just please give us a call and let us know, and you can remain anonymous if you wish.
Do they have a relationship with the victim that you're aware of?
They knew of him, but there was no relationship. Yes, ma'am.
Calling to the victim suggests thinking of the murder ahead of time. Is there any charges for premeditated murder or any knowledge about that?
Murder does encompass premeditation.
This cold case, I know the Sheriff's Department's been doing the same thing. It's taken on a new emphasis within both departments. What's it mean to you to be able to tell this mom, we put these people in jail?
Like I said earlier, there's no greater feeling to go to a victim's loved ones and telling them that, you know, this, where they can finally get a little more closure to the case.
First offenses for the gentlemen we see on the screen, or these are repeat offenders? Tell us what we can know about these.
They all have prior charges.
Similar to this, or first murder charges for them?
There's one individual that has pending murder charges.
All locals?
They are all from Greenville.
For the guns that were used, were they registered guns?
The guns were not recovered, and no, we don't believe they were registered. They were obtained illegally, or they were not registered to them. I think at the time of this incident, 2 of these individuals were 17, which would prohibit them from possessing a gun anyway.
Do we know how the incident went down? Do we know what happened prior to and during?
Like the chief said earlier, he was called into the woods. We don't know what happened during that confrontation in the woods.
If the individuals, they were all 17 at the time, so they were all in their 20s?
There was one 19-year-old.
Gotcha. Would you be able to point the ages, sir, just because there are 3 individuals involved in this?
The first individual on the right, Sanders, was 19 at the time, and the other 2 were 17.
Thank you, sir.
Captain Smith mentioned a few minutes ago that you walked into his office and said, I have this case file and I believe this is solvable. What made you say we could solve this?
Just a gut feeling. I knew how dedicated the cold case investigators were. I thought there were enough tips in there, and we could possibly catch a break. You always want to remain optimistic when you're looking at cases. Yes, ma'am.
You said that several of the officers were damaged and heard the gunshots. Was this a matter of them getting away by a car or because there's a wooded area and they run away? Like how did they escape the scene?
We don't know exactly how they got out of the area.
Where were these 3 found? What's the way we were arrested?
One was, 2 of them were incarcerated at the time, and one was located in Greenville.
How many cold cases do you have left, and how do you attack those? What does this publicity today help to put those other cases out in front of the public to get better tips?
Well, it's definitely not going to hurt getting it out in front of the public. We review these cases. Our investigators, cold case investigators, are well aware of all the details of all the cold cases, and we'll sit down. We usually have 1 or 2 active cases at a time and really dive into those.
So that fresh set of eyes, lived experience eyes, you said there were retired officers here who remember the cases when they happened. Does that pairing help in trying to solve these?
Yes, I mean, between the 2, I think they've got over 50 years of experience, as well as talking to the original investigators that may still be employed or retired and kind of going over the thing. Fresh set of eyes never hurts.
And remind everyone, sir, how long has this cold case unit for the city of Greenville been in play?
I think 17.
It was revamped in 2017, and so that's when we added our cold case detective you see today. And since they came on, this is our 4th cold case.
Chief, I'm sorry. Chief, would you step up to the microphone?
Sorry, Chief.
Since this team was revamped in 2017, this is the 4th cold case this team has solved.
Can you talk more about that? And
Yes, so we have, somebody asked how many cases we have. Right now we have currently 16 cold cases, and they date back 30-something years ago to, I think, one we have in 2011 would be the most recent cold case we have. So what they do is, like Lieutenant Connery says, we could be working one case and then start getting leads on another, and we have to follow the case we're getting the leads on. And that's why we need the public's help. Sometimes this does help publicize our cold cases, and it makes people remember things about the case. They can go to our website, our Greenville Police website. We have a cold case section on there, and we have a little bit of information about each cold case and the victim's pictures that they can go on and see this. And what we're asking them to do is think back to that time, to that day. What do you recall from that day and that time that could help us remember something? Or maybe someone has told them something since. Like we said, relationships change, things change. Now maybe that these 3 are incarcerated, we'll get more information coming forward about this case because maybe people were scared to say something knowing that they were out and about in the public. But working the cold cases, we solved the Jenny Zatricki case, the Alice Ryan case, and then the Julie Valentine case of the baby. And so this is our 4th one, Cobey Smith. And so it's always, just like Lieutenant Connery said, an honor to be able to close out a case. We know listen, the families want it closed, our community wants it closed, and we want it closed as quick as we can. Because the longer it goes, the chances are that you're unable to solve it. You lose people. People move away. Witnesses forget things. And so with all that array of information going on and the changes that happen, you lose your case. And so we want to solve them as quick as we can. That's why we jump on them, all hands on deck, and try to work them up front as hard as we can.
Why is this a priority for you as the chief of the police for this city?
Well, because I think it's a priority for everyone. I think it's a priority for you, for our community. I think they need to know also that the police department is not going to give up. Even if a case does go what we call cold, we're not going to forget about that victim. That victim means something to us too. not just the family, not just their mother, their brother, their sister, their children. That means something to us too, and we want to solve that. We want to be able to go to the family and give them the good news, even though we know it's not good. It's somebody's going to jail, but at least gives them some peace of mind knowing that the person that facilitated their family member's death has been incarcerated.
Do we know who shot Cobey? Have any of them invested?
So I would love to be able to share a little more information. I can't at this time. We don't want to, if you understand the integrity of the investigation, and we do know some more information, but I just can't share that with you at this time. I hope you understand. Thank you all again for joining us. Mrs. Smith, so sorry for your loss. We're here for you. If you need anything, thank you, Jack Logan, for what you do and what you do in the community. Very important. We wish more young people would put down their guns. So you just keep up the fight, and we're here to support you too. Media, thank you very much. Thank you for spreading the word of this and helping us solve more cold cases. We appreciate it. Our CRT team back there that works so hard in the community every day, thank you guys for what you do. And our cold case detectives and our leadership in investigations, Captain Smith, Lieutenant Conroy, and Sergeant Urban, thank you all so much.